The Quiet Footsteps, Chapter 12. Relieved, she wiped dust from her eyes and scanned herself. Small scratches etched her arms and legs, her well-worn trousers torn again at some parts. She noticed the entire left sleeve missing, nothing but her bare arms and a small gape where the sleeve used to be, cut along her bicep. Fortunately, the large tear on her coat seemingly didn't prevent its powers or its absorption of the crystals. Checking behind her shoulder, she saw the crystal glowing behind her and beamed. She did it. Maeve, who she was, the expert thief, snatched one of the magistrate's finest gems, a prize seldom bore witness to. Will there be stories told of her? A ghost-like figure slipping into the dead of night, attacking in the heat of battle, and dissipating like a haunting spirit. Ah ha ha! Yes! The now giddy Maeve ecstatically celebrated, pulling her arms in and gleefully bursting with joy as she jumped in the air, arms reaching outward. But her cuts and gashes remained, and Maeve thought the crystal had healed her wounds, at least originally, causing her to grow a little anxious. The cuts ached and some bled quite a bit. Additionally, the exposed flesh rotted with the dust from the debris salting it. Grimacing, she noticed the dust all over her hair, coat, and skin all covered in dull gray ash. She shook her head and patted it to rid the dust. She took off her coat and waved it to ward its dust away as if to rid off the affiliation with the collapse of the tower. When she took off the coat, she noticed her hair remained permanently pink. Maeve grinned upon this realization. Her possession was bound to her like an ancient spell. No one will ever have the abilities she has. She rubbed her eyes. Her body, despite the power of the crystal, ached. Deprived and exhausted, her excitement quickly turned into resisted anguish. Glancing around, the street she now stood in the middle of remained desolate, clouded by smog from the collapse. She could faintly hear the clangs of metal and the shots of firearms not too far, but she could barely move. Far from danger, a poised figure began to emerge from the smoggy road, a foggy, faded shadow. "Hello?" It was feminine, soft and soothing. "Is anyone hurt?" From the corner of Maeve's eye, she was revealed from the smog. She bore a red cross on a vest along her chest, work pants, and a belt packed with what seemed to be medications inside Erlenmeyer flasks. "You there? Are you okay? Please answer me." Hesitantly, the thief nodded. The nurse knelt beside her and examined her body. "It's just some scratches, but..." The nurse's eyes widened as she stopped mid-sentence. The wounds were healing themselves, slowly mending her new skin. But as she glanced back at the pink-haired girl, she grimaced in pain. It was clear she did not enjoy the experience. Concerned, shocked, and dumbfounded, she frantically backed from her. Bravely, she did not leave, but stood there observing her brief healing process. "Doesn't that hurt?" The nurse started calming down. "Do you need anything at all?" Maeve was breathing heavily, trying to see if this nurse could get a clue. "Just, could I get some water?" The nurse stood still for a moment. "Oh," she gathered herself. "Yes, of course. I'm very sorry." She reached into her medicine belt and pulled out a normal flask, handing it to the girl. Tired, she furiously snatched it from her hands and began chugging. The nurse put her hands on her hips as she drank. "Man, you're feisty," she claimed. "Don't worry, though. The magistrate has you in good hands." Maeve continued to finish the entire flask, refreshed but slightly moved by that last comment. Calmly, she asked if she had any food. The nurse nodded and handed her a bag of crackers. And to her dismay, and a whoosh of dusk and smog, the thief ran into the smoke. While Maeve appreciated her charity, there would be no way she would get away from being taken to a magistrate clinic, especially if she just saw her heal herself. Even as she cleared the smog, the rooftops once again held the eerie silhouettes staring back at her, miraculously keeping pace with her now energized, speedy self. She kept running, now slightly rehydrated, away from the building, holding a bag of crackers in her hand, ignoring the silhouettes and aiming her eyes forward.